She is not dead. She is alive. The words cut through the funeral like a blade through silence. At first, no one moved, no one breathed. It wasn't the priest who spoke. It wasn't the grieving father. It was a barefoot child. Inside the marble mausoleum of the Holt estate, whispers died instantly. Guests turned toward the entrance. A boy no older than 6 stood there, thin and trembling. His dusty overalls clung to his frame, and a small pendant swung on his chest. He shouldn't have been there. He didn't belong among silk dresses and tailored suits. Yet his eyes, deep, certain, unwavering, fixed themselves on the satin casket at the center of the room. Inside that casket lay Clara Holt, only 7 years old, believed to be gone. The boy's voice rang again, firmer this time. She is alive. The crowd erupted, gasps, shouts. Even the butler stumbled back in horror. But at the front, standing like a statue with his heart in pieces, was Alexander Holt, the billionaire father, who had been silent since the hospital declared Clara dead. His lips parted. "What did you just say?" The boy stepped forward. His feet were bare against polished marble. He didn't look at the guests. He didn't look at the guards rushing to intercept him. He walked straight to Clara's casket, and with trembling fingers, he reached up and touched her hand. The room froze. Hours earlier, the rain had stopped just hours before the funeral began. The sky, still gray and heavy, seemed to mirror the unbearable weight pressing down on Alexander Holt's chest. The billionaire, once celebrated as a visionary tech investor, now stood motionless in his custom-tailored black suit, his trembling hands hanging at his sides. Before him lay the unthinkable, his only child, his 7-year-old daughter, Clara, resting in a satin-lined casket. Her cream-colored dress was smooth as silk. A delicate crown of flowers circled her golden hair. She looked more like a porcelain doll than someone gone. But gone she was, or so everyone believed. Alexander hadn't spoken a word since yesterday, when they had brought her home from the hospital. He'd signed the release papers with a numb hand, his face carved into stone. The doctor's words haunted him like a curse. "I'm sorry. There was nothing more we could do." Clara's death certificate listed sudden arrhythmia caused by an undiagnosed defect, but Alexander couldn't accept it. Not fully. Not ever. Now, standing inside the private marble mausoleum of the Holt estate, surrounded by whispers and muffled sobs, he could barely keep himself upright. Then it happened. The sound of soft, deliberate footsteps. Every mourner turned. Through the archway of polished stone came a boy no older than 6. He was barefoot, his dark skin ashen with dust, his thin frame swallowed by faded overalls. A heart-shaped pendant swung on his chest. He had no jacket, no family guiding him. He didn't belong, but his eyes, deep, steady, and knowing, went straight to Clara. "Who let this boy in?" Alexander's brother snapped, stepping forward. But before anyone could stop him, the child walked up to the casket. With a trembling hand, he reached forward and touched Clara's still fingers. Alexander's voice cracked. "Wait, what are you doing?" The boy didn't look up. His words came quiet but firm, slicing through the silence. "She's not dead." The room froze. Guests gasped. A mourner dropped her tissue. Even the butler stumbled back. Alexander blinked in disbelief. "What?" The boy finally raised his eyes to him. "She's not gone." "Not really?" "Not yet." A doctor among the guests, Dr. Holden, turned pale. He was the one who had signed the death certificate. "That's impossible," he muttered. Alexander's gaze burned through him. "You said her heart stopped. You told me there was nothing left to try." But the boy shook his head slowly. "She's still breathing. You just can't see it. Her heart is weak, but it's not gone." Dr. Holden stiffened, his voice rising with nervous anger. "This is nonsense. The child doesn't know what he's talking about." But the boy ignored him. From his pocket, he pulled out a tiny wooden whistle. "She gave me this," he whispered, "2 days ago at the fountain." Alexander's breath hitched. Clara had spoken of a boy she'd met, a boy who carved toys out of scraps and bottle caps. Alexander thought she had made it up. "She shared her bread with me," the boy said softly, She told me she'd ask her father to build a home for kids like me one day. Alexander's chest tightened. Tears threatened his eyes. The boy continued, voice trembling. When she collapsed at the museum, I was there. I touched her hand. She whispered. No one believed me. They pushed me away. But I know what I felt. Dr. Holden's face went red. This is a circus. That girl is gone. And this boy is lying. But Alexander wasn't listening anymore. The boy placed the whistle gently on Clara's chest. She told me it was magic. She said she'd come back if someone believed hard enough. Alexander leaned forward, his heart hammering in his ears. And then he saw it. A single drop slid down Clara's cheek. A tear. The entire room gasped. Her lips moved, even for a man who built an empire on logic and science. Alexander knew he wasn't imagining this. Did you see that? He shouted. His voice cracked. She's alive. But before anyone could react, the boy collapsed beside the casket. Somebody help him. Alexander dropped to his knees, scooping the frail child into his arms. His skin burned with fever, his breathing shallow. Get water blankets now. He barked. Chaos erupted. Mourners screamed. Staff scrambled. But Alexander's eyes stayed fixed on Clara. Her chest rose. Then fell, then rose again. She's breathing. His voice broke. My baby is alive. Paramedics arrived within minutes. Clara was rushed to the hospital, and to the shock of the medical team, her body showed signs of Lazarus syndrome, a rare phenomenon where someone declared dead spontaneously regains life. It was rare, almost unheard of, but it was real. And without the boy, Clara would have been buried alive. That evening, Clara's fingers twitched. Her eyelids fluttered. Daddy, she whispered. Alexander broke down completely, clutching her hand. I'm here, my darling. I never left. I'll never leave again. Beside her, in another hospital bed, the boy slept peacefully, clean, safe, warm for the first time in his life. Alexander sat beside him. You saved her, he whispered. You saved me, and I swear to you, you will never be hungry or alone again. The boy stirred faintly. She told me you'd say that, he murmured before drifting back to sleep. Weeks later, the story swept across the world. A billionaire's daughter saved by a homeless boy no one believed. Alexander formally adopted the child, whose name was Malik, and founded the Clara and Malik Foundation, a nonprofit to protect and care for children without homes or families. As for Dr. Holden, the man who had signed Clara's death certificate, he resigned in disgrace and later faced legal consequences for negligence. But none of that mattered anymore to Alexander Holt, because in the end, he had learned something no fortune, no empire, no boardroom had ever taught him. Sometimes, the greatest miracles come from the most overlooked souls. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more powerful tales, and let us know in the comments where in the world you're watching from. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and never stop believing.